You're not getting service here. Get out of my store. Cashier Karen had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Because in exactly 4 minutes, the manager would be on his knees begging this man not to sue the supermarket. But what Karen didn't know was that this man in the motorcycle club vest had saved the manager's daughter's life 6 months ago, and the entire town knew about it. Everyone except her. Let me take you back to where this all started. Valley View Supermarket. Tuesday afternoon, 3:47 p.m. The kind of quiet hour when the lunch rush is over and the after-work crowd hasn't arrived yet. Just a handful of customers browsing the aisles, the soft hum of refrigerators, and the occasional beep of a scanner breaking the silence. Karen Mitchell stood at register number 3, her red vest perfectly pressed, name tag gleaming under the fluorescent lights. She'd worked at Valley View for 8 years. 8 long years of scanning groceries, fake smiling at customers, and counting down the minutes until her shift ended. She'd been Employee of the Month 3 times. She knew every product code by heart. She thought she knew everything about customer service. But she was about to learn that wearing a badge and following rules doesn't make you right. Karen was scrolling through her phone between customers when she heard it. That deep, rumbling sound that made the windows vibrate slightly. A motorcycle. A big one. She looked up just in time to see a Harley-Davidson rolling into the parking lot, chrome gleaming in the afternoon sun. Her jaw tightened. She didn't like bikers. Never had. In her mind, they were all the same. Loud, dangerous, disrespectful. Troublemakers looking for problems. The engine cut off. Through the large front windows, Karen watched as a man climbed off the bike. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing jeans and a black leather vest. Even from a distance, she could see the patches. Hell's Angels MC. Her stomach turned. She'd seen news reports, heard stories, bought into every stereotype the media had fed her. As far as Karen was concerned, that vest meant one thing: trouble. The man removed his helmet, revealing a weathered face with a salt and pepper beard. He looked to be in his late 40s, maybe early 50s. He stretched his back after the long ride and headed toward the entrance. Karen's hands gripped the edge of her register. She could feel her heart rate picking up, that familiar mix of fear and judgmental anger rising in her chest. The automatic doors slid open. Jake Morrison walked into Valley View Supermarket, carrying a reusable shopping bag, his boots making soft thuds against the polished floor. He nodded politely to an elderly woman near the entrance who smiled back at him. He grabbed a shopping cart and headed toward the aisles. He wasn't there to cause trouble. He was there to buy groceries. Milk for his daughter's cereal. Bread for sandwiches. Some ground beef for tacos tonight. Normal, everyday things. The things any father would buy. Karen watched him like a hawk. Every aisle he went down, every item he picked up, she tracked his movements. In her mind, she was already constructing the narrative. He's probably stealing, probably casing the place, probably dangerous. She didn't see a father shopping for his family. She saw a threat, and she decided that threat wasn't welcome in her store. Jake made his way through the aisles calmly, checking his phone for the shopping list his wife had texted him. Tomatoes, check. Pasta, check. He even stopped to help another customer reach something on a high shelf, his 6 feet 2 inches frame coming in handy. The woman thanked him warmly. He smiled, tipped an imaginary hat, and continued shopping. He had no idea what was waiting for him at checkout. 15 minutes later, Jake pushed his cart toward the registers. Only 2 lanes were open. Register 1 had a line of 4 people. Register 3, Karen's register, was empty. Jake headed toward the empty lane, already reaching for his wallet. He started unloading his items onto the conveyor belt. Milk, bread, ground beef, tomatoes, pasta, baby formula. His youngest was still on bottles. Diapers. Completely normal groceries. Nothing suspicious. Nothing illegal. Karen stared at him, her lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't move to start scanning. She didn't greet him. She just stared, her eyes fixed on that vest, on those patches that represented everything she'd been taught to fear. Jake looked up, slightly confused by the silence. "Afternoon," he said politely, his voice deep but gentle. "How's your day going?" Karen didn't respond to the pleasantry. Instead, She crossed her arms over her chest and lifted her chin. I'm sorry, but I can't serve you. The words hung in the air like a slap. Jake blinked, genuinely confused. Excuse me? I said I can't serve you. Karen's voice was louder now, more confident. She was playing to an invisible audience, already feeling justified in her decision. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone, and I'm refusing to serve you. Jake glanced down at his groceries, then back at her. I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? You know exactly what you did wrong. Karen's finger came up, pointing directly at his chest, at the vest, at the patches. I'm not serving someone dressed like that. This is a family establishment. We don't want trouble here. A few customers in the next lane had started to notice. Heads were turning. Phones were slowly being pulled from pockets. This was the moment that would change everything. Jake took a slow breath, tried to remain calm. Ma'am, I'm just here to buy groceries for my family. I'm not causing any trouble. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm a paying customer just like anyone else. I don't care. Karen's voice was rising now, attracting more attention. She was feeding off the fear she imagined in others, the power she felt in this moment. People like you aren't welcome here. Take your gang activity somewhere else. Gang activity? Jake's eyebrows rose. I'm buying diapers and baby formula. What gang activity are you talking about? But Karen was on a roll now, years of prejudice and media-fed fear pouring out. I've seen the news. I know what you people do. Fighting, drugs, violence. We don't need that here. So I'm asking you nicely, leave before I call security. Other customers were openly watching now. Some looked uncomfortable. Others had their phones out recording. This was going viral, and nobody knew it yet. Jake looked around at the growing crowd, at the phones pointed in his direction, and felt the familiar weight of judgment that came with wearing these colors. He'd dealt with this before. The assumptions, the fear, the hatred for something people didn't understand. He kept his voice steady, controlled. Ma'am, I'm a veteran. I served 2 tours overseas. I'm a father of 2 daughters. I volunteer at the Children's Hospital every Saturday. I'm just trying to buy groceries. I haven't raised my voice. I haven't been disrespectful. I haven't done anything to deserve this treatment. I don't care if you're the president. Karen was fully committed now, no turning back. You're not getting service here. Security, a young security guard, barely 22 years old, nervously approached. He looked between Karen and Jake, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. Is there a problem here? Yes, Karen said triumphantly. This man is refusing to leave. I've asked him multiple times. I want him escorted out. The security guard looked at Jake's cart full of regular groceries, at Jake's calm demeanor, and back at Karen. Sir, have you done something to... He's wearing gang colors in a family store. Karen interrupted. That's enough. Remove him. Now. Jake held up his hands in a peaceful gesture. I don't want any trouble. If the store doesn't want my business, I'll leave. But I want everyone here to know that I came in peace, tried to shop peacefully, and was refused service based solely on what I'm wearing, not anything I did. Good riddance, Karen spat. Jake started to turn away, leaving his groceries on the belt. That's when it happened. The moment that would change everything. The store's front doors opened again, and someone shouted across the supermarket floor. Jake Morrison! Everyone turned. A man in a button-down shirt and tie was running through the store. His face had gone completely white. It was Mike Patterson, the store manager, and the look on his face wasn't anger. It was absolute terror. Karen's triumphant expression faltered. Why was the manager running? Why did he look so scared? Why did he know this man's name? Mike reached them breathless, his eyes wide. He looked at Jake, then at Karen, then at the groceries abandoned on the belt. His voice came out as a horrified whisper. Karen, what have you done? Karen's confident smile wavered. The manager's face had drained of all color, and his hands were actually shaking. She'd never seen Mike like this. In 8 years of working under him, she'd never seen him run, never seen him look scared, and definitely never seen him look at her like she just burned the building down. Mike, I was just doing my job, Karen started, her voice losing some of its earlier conviction. We have policies about. Stop talking. Mike's voice was quiet but firm, the kind of quiet that's more frightening than yelling. He turned to Jake, and what happened next made every person in that store pull out their phone if they hadn't already. Mike Patterson, store manager of Valley View Supermarket, extended his hand with a trembling gesture of respect. Jake, I am so incredibly sorry. Please tell me what happened. Jake shook his hand, still calm, still composed. It's all right, Mike. Your cashier here decided I wasn't welcome based on my vest. She refused service and called security. I was just leaving. No harm done. No harm done. Mike's voice cracked. He turned to look at Karen, and she actually took a step back. Do you have any idea who this man is? Karen's mouth opened and closed. The power she'd felt moments ago was evaporating like morning fog. He's wearing gang colors. I was protecting the store. I was protecting our customers. Protecting. Mike's laugh was bitter, almost hysterical. He turned back to Jake. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, can we talk in my office? I need to make this right. Mike, it's okay, Jake started. No, it's not okay. Mike's voice rose now, emotion overwhelming him. He looked at the crowd of customers, at the phones recording everything, and made a decision. If this was going viral anyway, the truth needed to come out. Does everyone here want to know who Karen just kicked out of our store? The crowd murmured. Phone stayed raised. This was better than any reality TV show. Mike's voice shook as he spoke. 6 months ago, my daughter Emma was at Johnson Park. She's 12 years old. She was on the playground when a man, a stranger, tried to grab her, tried to drag her to his car. His voice broke. Several people in the crowd gasped. Emma screamed. She fought, but he was too strong. He was going to take my baby girl. Karen's face had gone pale now. She looked at Jake, really looked at him for the first time. Mike continued, tears forming in his eyes. This man right here, Jake Morrison, was riding past the park. He heard Emma scream. He didn't hesitate. He didn't think about his own safety. He jumped off his bike and ran toward them. The kidnapper saw him coming and tried to get Emma into the car faster, but Jake got there first. The store was completely silent now, except for Mike's voice. Even the background music seemed to have stopped. Jake pulled Emma away from that monster. The kidnapper tried to fight back, pulled a knife. Jake didn't run. He protected my daughter, got cut in the process, and held that man down until the police arrived. He saved Emma's life. Mike's tears were flowing freely now. The police said if Jake had been 30 seconds later, Emma would be gone. We'd never have seen her again. She'd be another face on a missing poster, another family destroyed. Several women in the crowd were crying now. One man was recording with tears streaming down his face. Karen stood frozen, the blood drained from her face, her hands trembling. Mike turned to look at her directly. This man, who you just called a gang member, who you treated like a criminal, who you humiliated in front of all these people, is the reason my daughter is still alive. The police gave him a civilian commendation. The mayor gave him a medal. The local news called him a hero. And we, my family, we have a photo of him in our living room. My daughter talks about Uncle Jake who saved her life. Jake shifted uncomfortably, never one for attention or praise. Mike, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Mike's voice was firm now. He looked at Karen, and his next words were measured and final. Karen, you're fired. Effective immediately. Collect your things and leave. What? Karen's voice was a whisper. You can't. I was following policy about. You weren't following any policy. Mike's voice was cold now. You were following your own prejudice. You saw a vest and made assumptions. You saw patches and decided you knew everything about a man you'd never met. You judged a hero, a veteran, a father, based on his appearance. And you did it loudly, publicly, and with such confidence that you've now embarrassed this store, yourself, and insulted a man who deserves nothing but respect. Karen's legs seemed to give out slightly. She grabbed the counter for support. But I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? That's exactly the point. An older woman in the crowd called out. Several people nodded in agreement. You didn't know, but you judged anyway. Mike continued, his voice steady now. You've been here 8 years, Karen. In that time, you've seen Jake in this store probably 20 times. He shops here regularly. He's never caused a single problem. He's always polite, always respectful. But today you decided he didn't deserve basic human decency because of what he was wearing. Jake finally spoke up, his voice gentle despite everything. Mike, look, I appreciate you standing up for me, but you don't have to fire her. She made a mistake. People make mistakes. The crowd murmured in surprise. The man who'd just been humiliated and discriminated against was defending his attacker. Karen looked at Jake with wide eyes, seeing him clearly for the first time. Mike shook his head. That's kind of you, Jake. It really is. But this isn't just about you. This is about what's right. If I let this slide, I'm telling every employee and every customer in this store that discrimination is acceptable as long as you apologize after. It's not. He turned back to Karen. You're terminated for cause. Human Resources will contact you about your final paycheck. Please leave. Karen opened her mouth to argue, to plead, but the look on Mike's face stopped her. She slowly untied her red vest, her hands shaking so badly she could barely manage it. She placed it on the counter, her employee badge on top. 8 years gone in minutes. She looked once more at Jake, opened her mouth as if to say something, then closed it. What could she possibly say? She'd judged a hero and called him a criminal. She'd humiliated a man who'd saved a child's life. There were no words that could fix this. Security, the same young guard who'd been called to remove Jake, now stood waiting to escort Karen out. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. As she walked toward the exit, several customers actually turned their backs on her. The walk of shame through that supermarket was the longest of her life. Phones tracked her exit, capturing every moment for social media. When the doors closed behind her, Mike turned back to Jake. Please, let me personally ring up your groceries. On the house. Everything's on the house. Mike, you don't have to do that. I absolutely do. And it's not enough. It'll never be enough. Mike's voice dropped. You gave me my daughter back. You gave Emma a future. You gave my wife and me a reason to keep breathing. And in my store, you were treated like a criminal. I'm so sorry. Jake put a hand on Mike's shoulder. I understand why she reacted that way. The media, the stereotypes, they're powerful. I'm used to it. It happens more than you'd think. That doesn't make it right. An elderly man from the crowd spoke up. He approached Jake and extended his hand. Thank you for your service, son, both overseas and here at home. Don't let ignorant people make you feel like you're anything less than a hero. Others approached. Handshakes. Thank yous. Apologies on behalf of humanity. Jake accepted them with grace and humility, though he clearly wanted nothing more than to just buy his groceries and go home. Mike personally scanned every item, hands still shaking slightly. He bagged everything carefully, added a few extra items Jake didn't pay for, and walked him to the door. Emma's birthday is next week, Mike said quietly. Would you and your family come to the party? She'd love to see you. She talks about you all the time. Jake smiled, the first real smile since this whole thing started. Text me the details. We'll be there. As Jake loaded his groceries onto his motorcycle, the crowd inside the store was still buzzing. Phones were already uploading videos. The story was spreading. Within an hour, it would have 10,000 views. Within a day, it would have millions. The headlines were already writing themselves. Cashier kicks out hero who saved manager's daughter. Discrimination caught on camera at local supermarket. Hell's Angel veteran humiliated for saving child's life. But here's what the videos didn't capture. Here's what happened next that nobody saw. And this is where the story gets even more interesting, because Karen's firing wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. By the time Jake Morrison pulled into his driveway, his phone was exploding. Text messages, voicemails, friend requests from people he'd never met. The video had gone viral. Multiple angles from multiple phones, all showing the same story. A decorated veteran and hero being discriminated against, then vindicated. The view count was climbing faster than anyone could track. 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. The internet had made its judgment, and it was swift. But Jake wasn't thinking about the views or the comments or the shares. He was thinking about his daughters, about getting dinner ready, about the normal Tuesday evening he'd planned before walking into that supermarket. His wife Sarah met him at the door, phone in hand, her face a mixture of anger and concern. I just saw the video, she said, taking the groceries from him. Jake, are you okay? I can't believe she treated you like that. I'm fine, babe. Really? He kissed her forehead. Mike took care of it. Let's just forget about it and have dinner. But forgetting about it wasn't an option. Not for the internet. Not for Valley View. Not for Karen Mitchell. Karen sat in her car in the supermarket parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel, unable to drive. Her phone was buzzing nonstop. Facebook notifications, Instagram tags, text messages from friends and family. Everyone had seen it. Everyone knew what she'd done. Her finger hovered over one video, watching herself point at Jake with such confidence, such righteous anger. She looked like a villain. She looked like everything wrong with society wrapped up in a red vest and a name tag. The comments were brutal. Thousands of them. She should never work retail again. Imagine judging a hero. This is why we can't have nice things. She got exactly what she deserved. But some comments went further. Much further. Her full name, her address, her social media profiles, all being shared. The internet had doxed her within 2 hours. Death threats were already appearing in her DMs. People were calling for her to be blacklisted from every job in the city. Karen finally started her car and drove home in a daze. When she arrived, there were already 2 news vans parked outside her apartment complex. Reporters saw her car and rushed toward it, cameras rolling, microphones extended. Karen Mitchell, do you have any comment on the incident? Do you regret what you did? Did you know he was a hero? She kept her head down, pushed through them, and locked herself inside her apartment. Meanwhile, at Valley View Supermarket, something unexpected was happening. Customers were pouring in. The parking lot was fuller than it had been in months. But they weren't just coming to shop. They were coming to show support. Support for Mike's decision. Support for Jake. Support for doing the right thing, even when it's hard. A group of veterans, some wearing their own motorcycle club vests, arrived together. They walked through the store, filling their carts, making a point. Mike met them personally, shaking every hand, thanking them for their service. Local news stations arrived, wanting interviews. Mike agreed, but only on one condition. The focus had to be on doing what's right, not on destroying Karen. Look, Mike said into the camera, what happened today was wrong. Karen's actions were discriminatory and hurtful. But I don't want this to become a witch hunt. She lost her job. She's facing consequences. What I want people to take from this is simple. Don't judge people based on appearance. Don't let fear and stereotypes guide your decisions. That's the lesson here. But the internet rarely listens to calls for mercy. Karen's name was trending on Twitter. Her old Facebook posts were being screenshot and analyzed. Someone found a photo of her from 3 years ago at a rally, and suddenly everything about her past was being dissected. The mob had found its target, and it was relentless. 3 days later, Karen had applied to 14 different jobs. 13 rejected her immediately, recognizing her name from the viral video. The 14th brought her in for an interview, but only to tell her to her face that they couldn't hire someone with that kind of judgment. She was unemployable in her own city. The video had made sure of that. She sat in her apartment, laptop open, staring at job listings in other states. Maybe she could start over somewhere else. Change her name. Disappear. But even as she thought it, she knew it was impossible. The internet never forgets. The video would follow her forever. Then something unexpected happened. Her doorbell rang. Karen approached cautiously, expecting another reporter or maybe an angry protester. Instead, through the peephole, she saw Jake Morrison standing on her doorstep, holding a small envelope. She opened the door a crack, chain lock still engaged. What do you want? Jake's voice was calm, no anger in it. I wanted to talk to you. May I come in? Every instinct told Karen to slam the door. But curiosity, or maybe shame, or maybe just exhaustion made her unlock the chain. Jake stepped inside, and she noticed he wasn't wearing his vest, just a plain t-shirt and jeans. Making himself less threatening, she realized. Even now, he was thinking about her comfort. They sat in her small living room, an awkward silence between them. Finally, Jake spoke. I wanted you to know that I didn't want this to happen to you. The internet thing, the death threats, any of it. Karen's laugh was bitter. You didn't want it? I humiliated you. I treated you like garbage. I deserved everything I got. Nobody deserves death threats, Jake said firmly. Nobody deserves to have their entire life destroyed over one mistake. A big mistake, yes. A hurtful mistake, but still just a mistake. Why are you here? Karen's voice cracked. Why would you care what happens to me? Jake leaned forward, his hands clasped between his knees. Because I've been on the receiving end of judgment my whole life. Because of this vest, because of these patches, people see me and make assumptions. Some of those assumptions are based on real things, I won't lie. There are bad people in every group. But most of us are just regular people who like motorcycles and brotherhood. And when someone treats me like you did, I have a choice. I can add more hate to the world, or I can try to add understanding. Karen wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I can't get a job. Nobody will hire me. My family won't talk to me. I've gotten hundreds of death threats. My life is over. Your life isn't over, Jake said gently. It's just different now. Look, I spoke with Mike. He's willing to write you a reference letter, focusing on your 8 years of good work before this incident. I also spoke with some business owners I know. They're willing to give you a second chance, but you have to do the work. Real work. Understanding where your prejudice came from. Learning about the communities you judged. Making amends. Karen stared at him in disbelief. Why would you help me? After what I did. Jake stood up, preparing to leave. He handed her the envelope he'd been holding. Because Emma, Mike's daughter, taught me something when I saved her. She didn't care what I was wearing. She didn't care about my patches or my beard or my tattoos. She just saw someone who helped her. Kids don't have the prejudices we do. They learn them from us. If we want a better world, we have to be better teachers. He headed for the door, then paused. The envelope has some information about volunteer programs, community centers, places where you can learn and grow. What you do with it is up to you. After he left, Karen opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a list of organizations, veteran support groups, cultural centers, anti-discrimination workshops. There was also a handwritten note from Jake. Understanding starts with listening. Redemption starts with action. You get to choose who you become after this. 2 months later, Valley View Supermarket held a community appreciation event. Veterans, families, local organizations, all gathered to celebrate unity and understanding. Mike Patterson stood at a microphone, Emma by his side. Today isn't just about thanking heroes like Jake Morrison, though we do thank him every single day. Today is about recognizing that we all have biases, we all make mistakes, and we all have the capacity to grow. In the back of the crowd, almost unnoticed, stood Karen Mitchell. She'd been volunteering at a veterans center for 6 weeks. She'd attended workshops on implicit bias. She'd listened to stories from people she'd previously judged from a distance. She wasn't looking for forgiveness or redemption or even acknowledgement. She was there because she was learning, because she was growing, because Jake had given her something she didn't deserve, a second chance. Jake saw her from across the crowd. Their eyes met. He nodded once. She nodded back. No words needed. Some lessons are learned the hard way. Some changes happen slowly, but they happen. The video of Karen kicking out Jake still has millions of views. It still circulates on social media as an example of discrimination and quick justice. But there's a smaller video, one with only a few thousand views, filmed 2 months later. It shows Karen speaking at a community center about her experience, about her prejudice, about her journey toward understanding. The comments on that video are different. This is real growth. Second chances matter. This is how we heal. Because here's the truth that the viral video didn't capture. People are more than their worst moment. Mistakes can be teachers. And sometimes the person you judged unfairly becomes the person who saves you from yourself. Jake Morrison still shops at Valley View Supermarket. He still rides his Harley. He still wears his vest with pride. And now, sometimes when he's there, he runs into Karen volunteering at the Veterans Food Drive the store hosts monthly. They're not friends exactly, but they're proof that even the deepest divides can be bridged with understanding, humility, and the courage to admit when you're wrong. The internet wanted a villain. What it got instead was a lesson. We're all capable of prejudice, and we're all capable of growth. The question is which one we choose.